Okay, welcome to the Henstitute lab. We are going to do our Whiplash Cart lab. So the idea here is I have a cart that's got these purple rubber bands attached to the force sensor over here. This blue and yellow blocker there because this cart has a little spring-loaded plunger. So the idea is that when I push down on this little button, it's going to snap itself out. So it's going to spring away from there with this little posts that you'll see. And then it's going to travel down this track, and there's a motion detector at the other end, so it'll determine its motion as it moves along. And then the idea is on the computer over here, we're going to have three different graphs. We're going to have a position versus time, a velocity versus time, and a force versus time. And we're going to kind of look at those. So the idea is when this cart takes off, it's going to have momentum because it's going to be moving. And that rubber band is going to apply a force on it over a certain period of time. So it's going to apply an impulse, and that's going to change the cart's motion. So it's actually going to whip it back. So that's where the whiplash idea. But to do this, we actually need to know what the mass of the cart is. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually mass this cart. So let's set it on this electronic balance over here. What does it read? Looks like it reads 528.2 grams. So that's the mass of our cart. I'm going to put that back on our track. I'm going to put our little rubber band on top. So it's all ready to go. Now the reason I have the blocks in there is because as that thing pushes off, if it tries to push off the end piece, that actually has some magnets, so unfortunately it doesn't work that way. So I'm going to set this up so you can kind of see the cart as it actually moves, so you'll be able to see some of this motion. On the computer, I'm going to actually start it, and then I'm going to hold it and launch it. So let's get this ready. I'm going to hit the collect button. It's going to start collecting data, and launch. Snap. So there's our Whiplash ride, and it's going to create some graphs for me. So if you kind of move over here, you'll actually see three different graphs have been created. And to kind of point out these graphs here, I'm going to look at the end here. This top graph is our position versus time graph, so you can see it moving toward the motion detector and then away. The second graph is our velocity, so it starts off with 0 velocity and then it drops down. It has a velocity moving toward the motion detector, and then it comes up and it has a velocity moving away from the motion detector. And then the bottom graph here is our force versus time graph. It basically just forms a little bump because as the force is being applied, as it's being stretched, it happens over a certain period of time. We're going to use those three different graphs to see if we can support the idea that the change in momentum is equal to the impulse on our little Whiplash cart. And that has been our edition of the Henstitute Lab.